Hmm. I, I think about the talk you shared with Heinz and I,
Mm.
when I listened to the question being answered or being asked. My sense feeling about it was the ego putting a sign up to say, "Tell me I'm right."
Mm.
And I find for me that it is a very slippery slope
Mm.
between what's what's there for me and or if I'm judging, because I could say the same thing and they would both have different meanings. But it's I don't even know, but it seems when I can ask the question, then I can feel into it, you know,
Mm.
because my ego is at work just bringing forth the notice. Oh, look at me, look what I saw.
Mm.
But I also, if I then take it to me, it's like, oh, where can I see that in me? It removes that judge from them, and then I can work to remove it from me too.
As you were talking, what came up for me was I'm also finding now difficulty with words, but with the ego, when we referred to me, it stops at that. But when we get to the understanding that we are um, that we are much more than that, and yeah, I mean, I'm really struggling with the words now. So my journey very much was the was realizing that I really was part of a whole, and that I wasn't in that I wasn't was never alone. And in that is a responsibility to show up so that the whole can reach its optimum, or an accountability, whichever word is less charged for people, right? And there's a freedom. For me, there was a freedom in realizing that by showing up fully to be myself, I was being in service and being in service to the whole. Whereas and it still happens to me, when I feel as though it's only me, then that feeds the ego, and it spirals. It can go either to an excessive positive, or it can go to an excessive negative. And it's hardly ever neutral.
So I would define that as power.
Mm. Mm.
Which is not how people think of power in our society today. Which people's definitions have them afraid and avoid it, or have them crave it.
Mm. Yeah, that's very true. And I think that is very easily developed with an individualist culture.
Yeah. Back to like you spoke, it's like, and I don't realize my whole,
Mm. Mm.
like that I am whole. It's been on my mind this last couple of days, has been this. It's like the question that keeps being there is, what is at the core that people are looking for? And how are they looking for it?
Mm. That's a good question to ask.
And I find that I can answer for me that there's many answers. There's not
Mm-hmm.
one. There's not
Mm-mm.
one easy, simple one.
Mm-mm.
But the way of getting there, there is a path, I think.
Mm.
It may take different words,
Mm-hmm.
but
I think it definitely does take different words. And there are as many paths as there are reflections of us. You know, and those are infinite in many ways. But somehow I do feel like the core of what we look for, that's where the where we join as a species.
so that's even that's even before the words or a word. So it's like a deeper level of either we join or we resist.
Mm. Yeah, that's a very good encapsulation.
And I do believe that it is in our deepest, deep inside of us that we want to be together because we want to belong
Mm.
and we want to love.
Mm-hmm.
It is it is what we came out with. We came out of the womb with.
Mm.
Whether we got it in our environment very early on, changed people's path through life.
Mm.
We're set it in motion. That's probably a better way to think about it.
Mm.
And so if we feel like we belong with a group, if we feel we are loved, if we feel felt,
Mm. Mm.
a word I could use there is peace.
Mm.
When you think of peace, do you think of peace as like out there peace or inner peace?
It's inner peace, most powerful.
But I can say when I heard the word peace, I would always look for it out there.
And immediately, your thoughts immediately go to world peace, right?
Yeah, which is them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me. It's like the key is the inner peace first.
Mm-hmm.
That has been for me. And it's like, so is that what people fundamentally urge for? Crave and not know it? Mindsight's been doing a lot of work with me, a lot of thinking. I love that book.
Mm. It really stays with one at a heart level, even though he's describing the brain, and understanding and sharing that understanding of it.
Yeah, this all comes from the attachment study.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is such a huge predictor of one's life.
Mm-hmm.
It's that early attachment.
And how that impacts on the brain.
Yes. And it's like a child, it's like the baby is craving for that peace,
Mm.
which then becomes safety, which then becomes comfort, which comes someone's caring for, right? It's like being felt. It's that resonance that we share together. It's like I can only speak for me. It's when inner peace wasn't there. It was just empty.
Mm.
And an empty one, I didn't know it was empty. I was unaware that it was empty. And what does empty, like a black hole, do is it pulls things into it, towards it. So think of trying to fill a black hole. Just keep throwing things at it.
Mm.
And the perspective that was off for me was that it was all out there. Like I spoke about peace, right? When I thought of peace, it was like out there. That's for everyone else to deal with. It's essentially what I was saying.
Mm. Mm.
So everything out there, there's something out there that will fill this empty void.
Mm.
That was
Mm.
how I saw it, that I did not even see I was seeing it.
That's
Only
a good
now
way
in
to describe.
reflection.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
really good.
only now in reflection can I see that was my pattern. Thanks, Allison. I just want.
Yeah, I was just going to say that what you had said was a very good description of unaware, that you
Yeah,
didn't see. Mm. There's so much that comes from and that gets lost with, with aware. You know, if you are aware, you gain so much, and if you're not, you lose so much.
now I'm gonna point at the lose so much, and I'll say as you keep seeing the same thing.
Mm.
Never. I mean, 4 years ago, I'll go back 4 years. If you would have said peace was what I was looking for, I'd tell you you're ridiculous. And then if you would have said, well, it's all inside you, I'd have told you you're ridiculous squared. I wouldn't have listened. And yet kept trying what I was and wasn't working
Mm.
because I was right and you
Mm.
were crazy. Come back. I've been revisiting my P's again, my of peace, power, passion, purpose,
Mm. Mm.
and prosperity.
Mm.
Something that I don't know. I just continues to say, like, for me, that's the order.
Well, I think prosperity comes as a result of the first four.
Yeah, exactly. And I was looking for the prosperity first, and then I'll have all
Yeah,
the other things.
yeah, yeah.
And haven't didn't explain it that way ever before.
That's like trying to go to the fifth step of the ladder when the first few are non-existent.
Mhm. Oh, but I see everybody else has it. I'll do what they do. missing the most important piece, that we can't see what's happening inside of others. We can see what they do, how they do it, what they make. They can tell us all about it. That doesn't change the inside.
No.
Doesn't,
And it's also,
doesn't. Go ahead, Alison.
sorry, Jay.
No,
I,
please continue.
I think I think it's also what we judge as being prosperous.
Mhm.
And it's very fixed in society. You know, it's not a fluid sense of what it is to be prosperous. Because
Yes.
it can be very many different things. It depends on what 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 role you or not role, but what vibration you have that is beneficial for the world to manifest. And we don't value everything, equally.
Nope.
Yeah.
And hmm, yeah, it's very easy to become disorganized.
Mm.
And it'd be like, tell me the difference, not the definition, but in your life, the difference between peace, power, passion, purpose, and prosperity. How would you know you had it?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
And that would give the definitions of those words, which then would provide the how people thinking, how they're orienting, how they're viewing it. It reveals the filter in which people are seeing those words.
Mm.
And so often, like for me, it was, oh, it's all out there. It's
Mm.
external of me. And it's like, oh, I tried that for so long, too long. There's no way it could be in here because I was always just conditioned to see it out there. And why not? Right? It's like when we're hungry, we see something from out there and we put it inside of us.
Mm. Yeah, it goes as fundamental as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it happened many times a day as a baby. And now we're just conditioned to do it 3 times a day. but we snack or we're hungry through the day a whole lot more than that. But like look at the conditions.
Mm.
I just brought to the contrast between the first two for me. It's like peace, power.
Mm.
My 4 years ago, I thought power has always been a dominance.
Yes. And that's a mistake that we make.
And so there isn't. So only when we dominate all will we then have peace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
only when I dominate, then I'll be peaceful, which means when I'm right, when I win, it's like, oh no, that'll never happen that way.
And we go for domination above collaboration, right?
Yep.
Because if we collaborate, then we've often got to concede something that we think is the only right way, instead of being able to see that there can be a few right ways.
The word that it's like surrendering.
Mm. Mm.
Like in power, like the power surrender to it, which doesn't go with dominate.
Correct.
And I mean, the more I pull back, I can just see how focused and fixed in a certain direction I was.
Mm. Mm. And it's that fixedness that trips us up, AJs.
Yeah, the fixed and the resistance to the fix.
Yeah. Because we need the focus.
And I didn't even realize it was a focus of mine because I think it was like almost it was in the unconscious background running. So I wasn't
Yeah.
even aware that that thinking was going on, driving me that way because
Yeah.
I couldn't separate it to be aware. I didn't,
Yeah. So it's that when you said no, you didn't separate it. So it's a discernment that is so valuable. The capacity for that, to be able to slice it thin and see the different subtle layers. Because focus and driven can be confused.
Yeah.
We think there's, or we often think that somebody that's driven is focused, and we don't see the you know, I think driven
And
is,
not in,
sorry,
go ahead.
I think driven is very much part of the ego, right?
Yeah.
Whereas focus is an aware choice. When we're driven, it's almost like we're not really making a choice.
It has me think of words we use. We don't stop and ask what is the meaning of that word.
Mm.
We just use it, right? It's because, oh, I know what that means. Don't you know what that means? You should know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in that it's in that definition which brings forth all the color of how we see it. Of and it helps to reveal what it is and what it isn't.
Mm.
Yeah, just listen. It's all it's all in the definition, which is the orientation to it, to the word, to the meaning, to the
Mm.
action. Meaning, meaning the definition is what we'll look for. Definition is what we'll get. We just have never really thought about the definition as getting it in all the different ways we could get it.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, that's we've talked about peace and power. It's like peace was like, oh, my definition of it, my the difference between the right and the left brain's definition of that separated.
Mm. Mm.
Like power. Always, when I go to power, do I think king? Always, always. Yeah, why not? It's been so much of my history. Even though we don't live in a land of kings today.
Mm.
But in a way, we do. We just call it something else
Oh,
now.
yes, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Just covered up with new words.
Mm-hmm.
old words disguised as new words.
Mhm.
And I would have never been able to say this, that inner peace is our power, is my power
Mm.
to see, explore, understand that my passion to guide the purpose.
Mm.
And the only thing I can compare that to is expectations,
Mm. Mm.
which is not a good comparison.
But expectations are the other side of that in a way.
Yep. Or it's the ego's side of it.
Yeah, yeah, very good. And so we
Which,
circle back. Go, Jess, go.
yeah, like I lost it. That's fine. You were
Oh,
going to say
shit.
it anyway, so it was in your words.
Okay, so which takes me back to um, when I was texting with Heinz yesterday, and he's saying, that he uses the heart to question the ego.
Hmm.
And that's a really powerful way of determining, is what I'm thinking true?
Mhm.
Can I know that it is absolutely true?
Mm, Starting out, if we make that distinction, evaluation, and we do something different than what we would have always done,
Mm,
it's moving it towards that direction then.
mm,
Now, the ego quickly learns your little game
mm-hmm,
and realizes that it kind of has got to play along, yet be right still.
mm.
The phrase, I've been hearing it a lot, is be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Mm. Mm.
And it's like to really look at what am I uncomfortable with here? Man, it only through that exploration can we progress. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you resist. It matters what you do with the resistance.
Mm. Mm.
We look at it, go through it, see it for what it is, or do we avoid it and put it back into the deep hiding, lock away, which is just feeding it in a sense,
Mhm.
growing it, attaching more to it, and letting it fester. Why? Well, because we're afraid to see it. Sorry, we're afraid to feel it. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, to feel the emotion in a society that said, you can't cry.
Mm. Talk about being cut off at the knee.
Right? Or at the head.
Mm-mm. Decapitated. Oh.
Basically, you listen to the head, the heart has no
Mm.
input.
Mm-hmm.
And then which one is strong? Well, fighting is strong. So be strong, fight.
Mm.
All the words we use in which our children make the meanings up at. Hmm. Well, it's like the challenge today is look for notice when there's peace and when there's power, and where it's peaceful power.
Mm. I
And
think I
even
need,
notice when it's not.
yeah, I was going to say for me, I think I need to notice when there's the urge to dominate and when I can experience the power of peace.
And when you feel that domination, what could you do?
Be aware of it.
And
Bring in the letting go.
you know, another
And
word
in the
for it.
another word for letting go,
Yeah.
allow.
Uh-huh. What do you do when you wave the white flag?
Because in the yeah, surrender. Yeah, yeah, because then you bring in the experience of the power of peace, right?
Yep. It is the most powerful way to get to all those other words you used.
Mm, mm,
But it is not the first thing we think of. But it is this. No, sorry, like it is the shortcut
mm,
because we
mm,
resisted the most.
mm. It's interesting because there's a difference. There's a difference between surrender and and pleasing. The reason that I say that is because as a young adult and teenager, I would please. So that got a quote that got associated with um, lack of losing my power. Right?
Mhm.
And surrender is an active choice. It's not a victim.
Yep.
It's not taking on the position of a victim.
Yep. But it could easily be an orientation.
Mm-hmm.
That definition
Mm.
is there are times that we surrender to fight. Now, when that's your automatic, right? It's different to be aware of it and engage rather than unaware and engage.
Mm.
Huge difference.
Mm.
And when I say like surrender, it's like I'm surrendering to the other person's point of view. Doesn't mean I have to accept it. Doesn't mean I have to believe it.
Mm.
Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. I'm surrendering that
Mm.
it's theirs.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm
And respecting
surrendering.
them for,
Go ahead.
sorry, I said, and respecting them for having their point.
Yes. Yes, allowing. And so there's the allowing them to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Honoring that they do, that they're
Mm-hmm.
taking a position. They're fixing it in a certain way. They're limiting themselves in it. Fascinating. That's surrendering. It's like I'm surrendering that I don't have to be right. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
where my fight is. That's where my fight is with them, is that, oh no, they see it this way, and you need to see it that way too. It's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dictator.
Yep, it is.
And that's not true power.
No.
Well, what a wonderful morning. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you both very much. Enjoy the
Yeah,
rest of your day.
thank you. You too.
Enjoy
Bye.
your day with your boy, Hans. I think he's fast asleep. I hope so.
Yeah.